And you can tell who's getting the strange new respect these days. When you're on the same side as Abby Phillips with regard to the Epstein files, you might want to think about it a little bit.
I do think that this loyalty thing with Trump, if you've covered him as I have, you know it's a one-way street. But she literally is learning that
in real time.
Right now. Yes, literally yesterday, she said, I've been so loyal to him, and they're calling me a traitor. I think she is realizing that Trump is not there for her.
Okay, so it's not about the loyalty thing. The Marjorie Taylor Greene feels betrayed. The reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene is pissed off is because she doesn't like his foreign policy, and she wanted to run for the Senate, and she was going to lose, and Trump told her he wasn't going to back a Senate run where she was going to lose. That's why she's pissed off. And so she's tried to turn this into a moment where she breaks the Republican Party. And yes, that is going to have some impact on Republican levels of support for the president. Also, when you have popular podcasters and voices who continue to malign the president without saying his name because they're cowards, who continue to go out there and say that the administration is covering up the Epstein files, the administration, but without saying Trump's name, because they don't want to offend Trump. They're afraid that Trump will reach over like King Kong and just crush them. And so instead, they simply imply and imply and imply without just saying the thing they want to say out of pure, unbridled cowardice. It's pretty impressive. Meanwhile, Democrats, of course, are happy to jump on this bandwagon. Chuck Schumer was out there blasting President Trump on Epstein yesterday.
But I want to be very clear. The job is not done. The vote is not the end. It's only the beginning. Once the president signs the bill, he must apply and execute it faithfully. There must be no funny business from Donald Trump. He must not use the excuse of frivolous investigations to release some Epstein documents while intentionally hiding others that deserve to be seen by the American public. This is not an invitation for Donald Trump to pick and choose his version of the truth. This bill is a command for the president to be fully transparent, to come fully clean, and to provide full honesty to the American people, even if he doesn't want to. So I want to be clear. Anything less than full transparency will be unacceptable in the eyes of the American people. If Donald Trump refuses to comply, if he refuses to obey the law, Senate Democrats will hold him accountable.
I mean, I'm sorry. Senate Democrats are going to hold him accountable to what? Okay, the DOJ has policies and procedures. The law itself, the one that just passed, that Trump signed, allows exceptions for redaction for national security reasons and for legal reasons. So the bill was just a bunch of virtue signaling by people who don't like Trump. That's all it was. Meanwhile, people like Stacey Plaskett, it's amazing. This is a Democratic delegate from the Virgin Islands. And here she was. She had a relationship with Epstein, right? She was emailing with him. And she says she has no regrets at all on Jeffrey Epstein.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can. I've interviewed confidential informants. I've interviewed narcotics, drug traffickers, and others, and that doesn't mean that I'm their friend. That doesn't mean that they are friendly with me.
She had no idea. He's just another constituent who was a sex trafficker of the underage. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett, the brilliant congresswoman from Texas who would like to run for Senate herself. We'll see how that goes for her. It's a bold move, Cotton. Here she was with Caitlin Collins on CNN trying to suggest that Lee Zeldin had taken money from Jeffrey Epstein. There's only one problem. There's more than one Jeffrey Epstein in the country. And the person she's talking about is not, the Jeffrey Epstein.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people.
Slow clap on that one. She wasn't trying to mislead people by saying that he took money from a Jeffrey Epstein. There's no implication that it was the Jeffrey Epstein, she was just putting out that the guy had the same name, then what would your point be, madam? Literally, there would be no point. That's like saying that I found a 5'0" white guy named Michael Jordan, and I defeated him in basketball. And then I went on Twitter the next day and I said, I just destroyed Michael Jordan in basketball. And when called upon it, I didn't say it was that Michael Jordan. I mean, like, then of what relevance would it be? Oh my God. Like, this is our Congress. We'll get to more on this in a moment. First, if you're struggling with credit card debt, you're not alone. Many hardworking Americans find themselves overwhelmed by interest rates, fees, medical bills, persistent collection calls. It can feel like there's no way out. And this is where PDS Debt comes in. They've helped hundreds of thousands of people just like you negotiate lower debt amounts, stop collection calls, and start rebuilding their financial stability. If you're feeling overwhelmed by credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, you're not alone, and PDS Debt is here to help you find a way forward. What sets them apart is they don't just look at the numbers on your statements. They take the time to understand your unique financial situation and create a personalized plan that's designed specifically for you. The best part, no minimum credit score required, so they can work with you regardless of where your credit stands right now. The goal is simple: help you save more money, pay off your debt faster, start putting cash back where it belongs, in your pocket. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star Google reviews, a perfect 5-star rating on Trustpilot, it's clear why PDS has successfully helped hundreds of thousands of people break free from debt. When you're ready to take control of your finances, they're ready to help you make it happen. It's your money. It's your future. Don't let the system decide for you. You're 30 seconds away from getting debt-free. Get your free assessment. Find the best option for yourself right now at pdsdebt.com/Shapiro. That's pdsdebt.com/Shapiro, pdsdebt.com/Shapiro. The DOJ is running into some problems of its own. One of those problems apparently is basic competence. According to Politico, the Trump administration's criminal prosecution of former FBI Director James Comey is now in serious jeopardy. The federal judge overseeing the case questioned the validity of a grand jury indictment that charged Comey with lying to and obstructing Congress. U.S. District Judge Michael Nachmanoff pressed prosecutors during a hearing on the events around the charges against Comey. They questioned whether the entire grand jury even saw the actual 2-count indictment a magistrate judge received after grand jurors rejected one of the 3 charges proposed by the interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan. So apparently Halligan was called to the courtroom and he asked her to address the court. And it appears that actually the grand jurors were not present when the original indictment and a narrower substitute were presented to the magistrate judge. Halligan said that the 4-person and another grand jury were present, but not everybody in the grand jury. So that is an irregularity. Typically, the grand jury has to see the charges. Assistant U.S. Attorney Tyler Lemons suggested the replacement indictment was a necessity because the grand jury had turned down one of the proposed charges. Quote, they really had no other way to return it. So a lawyer for Comey said there's no indictment. So the procedural misstep was tantamount to a complete bar to prosecution. So at the very least, the government provided problems for itself. Maybe it's a procedural problem, but basic competence would be a good thing. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi has been talking about the possibility of a new Epstein investigation, which of course will quiet zero of the critics because it will come to the same conclusions as, the old Epstein investigation. But it'll allow Pam Bondi, I suppose, to kick the can down the road. She has handled this about as poorly as any AG has handled any issue that I've ever seen. Here is the Attorney General yesterday.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Okay, so again, a new investigation will please pretty much no one and also drag this thing out for several more months. So well done once again to the Attorney General Pam Bondi. Again, everything from her Epstein binders to the original announcement that there would be no additional charges brought with regard to people related to the Epstein case, announcements that there was no foreign intelligence intervention. All of that was handled about as badly as you can handle it. And apparently she is going to keep that pattern going. So well done there. Meanwhile, in positive DOJ news, I mean positive only in the sense that the DOJ is doing its job. Apparently, a New Jersey man whose lengthy prison sentence for fraud convictions was commuted by President Trump in 2021 is now headed back to federal prison for another fraud conviction. U.S. District Judge Michael Shipp, according to ABC News, handed down a 37-year sentence on Friday to one Eliyahu Eli Weinstein of Lakewood, also known as Mike Koenig. Apparently, he has to pay $44 million in restitution due immediately. He was convicted in March on charges he helped defraud dozens of investors out of $35 million. Apparently, according to prosecutors, Weinstein and others falsely promised investors access to deals involving scarce medical supplies, baby formula, and first aid kits destined for wartime Ukraine. This would be the third time he has been convicted in a New Jersey federal court for defrauding investors. The first case involved a real estate Ponzi scheme. The second stemmed from additional fraud he committed while on pretrial release. He caused losses of $230 million. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison. President Trump commuted his term to time served about 8 years into his sentence in 2021, just before leaving office. And right after he was released, he went back to doing this. He's now going back to jail. Put him in jail forever, man. Put him in jail and leave him to rot. Truly. What a scumbag. Our Daily Wire Plus Black Friday, it's here right now. Get your annual Daily Wire Plus membership for half the price. All the shows, all the movies, all the news you need. 50% off. Go to dailywire.com/subscribe.